Now, the first chapter of the book, uh, talks about philosophical splitting. Explain what that is.
Um, well, I noticed something, and this is over a series of years, and I just noticed that there was kind of a split in our spiritual New Age philosophies. So it's kind of like we're promoting two different agendas at the same time. So for example, like unity consciousness, and then we're pursuing separation,
Hmm.
learning our wholeness within it, and then, pursuing this abundance centered philosophies. So, and I was healing people, and I was starting to wonder, okay, am I really healing them? Because it seemed like they were in a rush, in the rush of life, and they're trying to fix something, and they had the right spiritual intentions, but then their agenda actually made them sick, and then they wanted to quick fix their issues to go back into a world and a mindset that was kind of split and dysfunctional in certain ways.
And so basically, you feel that we're evolving from a me society to a more collective conscious thinking.
Yeah. So, and I did in my book, I listed some of the dualities that I see going on.
Hmm.
So, and on the left-hand column I have accepted spiritual truth, and on the right-hand column I have prescribed lifestyle. And for example, on as an accepted spiritual truth, we know we are innately enough and we have nothing to prove, and we're divine and all that stuff. But our prescribed lifestyle is go out, strive, do, be, and kind of you're judged on the success and failure scale, and you have to manifest all positive and negatives. So, and then on the other side of the scale is the accepted spiritual truth that there's no duality. And then we're also at the same time we're told to go out into the world and manifest dualities, again, to focus on success and failure, and good and bad and all this other stuff. Um, and then I have inner sense of abundance and worth. Abundance is present. Holiness exists within all living things. And the prescribed lifestyle is striving for outer abundance and worth. Abundance is past or future. It needs to be created through using the earth's resources to create inanimate things. So one's life-giving, one's lifeless. Um, on the accepted spiritual truth, it's oneness, unity, benefit of the whole. The prescribed lifestyle is benefit of the self, competition, separation. The accepted spiritual truth is each person is a spiritual being. Our worth is eternal and defined by spirit. We are all equal in spirit. Our prescribed lifestyle is each person is a material being. Our worth is determined by other men, our successes, failures, buying, selling, our popularity, and other external factors. And like there's a whole list of these things, including ascension. So ascension is rising before above form, and then materialism is clinging to form. So we kind of have all these dualistic concepts
Hmm.
going at the same time. And I noticed I was studying. Have you heard of the book A Course in Miracles?
Yes, yes.
So this kind of happened, and I was studying a book called The Course in Miracles, and it asks you to rethink everything and to let go of duality, let go of specialness and all these things. And I was trying to operate in my life, and I thought I had to twist my thoughts so that I could believe those nice spiritual truths, and kind of pursue my old world reality and lifestyle and everything else, trying to mentally convince myself that that wasn't what I was doing. So, for example, I try to emulate the principles of trying not to be special. Well, I wouldn't say the word trying, but the belief that
Hmm.
our specialness is innate, we're all equal and all that. And if I could just twist my thoughts, I could go out in the world and try to achieve and be the best at things. And I didn't see where that was split. I didn't see where it was a mind game that I was playing with myself, where I was trying to convince myself specialness didn't matter to me when it really did. So, this chapter is largely about, okay, why does this happen? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And it came down to the belief that we believe we have no other choice. So we kind of believe we have to go along with how society defines things, these dualistic concepts, and the ways our lifestyles are, and then kind of brainwash ourselves in ways not to believe this is our true agenda kind of thing. I don't know if I'm making sense. I
Well,
write better in the book.
I know. My favorite one that you've listed, you've got this. In fact, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. This is an article it was the first chapter of her book, and several other chapters are being shared in Bellesprit magazine each month. And this in the chat room is the link to where that particular article is located. And you've got this nice chart where it's laid out. And my favorite one is the duality and labels. We got so hung up on labeling ourselves.
Exactly.
Where I'm this, well, I'm an executive, da da da, and versus somebody who's, working at Walmart just as hard, is just as intelligent, but yet they're looked down upon because they work at Walmart and you might work for an executive corporation. That's
and you're
where
taught abundance. If you've achieved abundance the right way, then you will get that executive that executive job. And it's a very subtle brainwashing. And it kind of says, okay, if you didn't get that executive job, then you're thinking things wrong. There's something wrong with you in your thought level. It's almost like a disease. And you have to clear all your blocks because you are a quote-unquote failure. It's not outright said, but that it's implied. So
that you're not enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's this whole not enough consciousness. And I really noticed it first with the ascension stuff. It's like, it didn't make sense to me that people were trying to ascend while striving after materialistic goals at the same time. Because to me, ascension always meant how it meant to the masters, that you let go of everything, that you kind of release everything and you kind of enter a new dimension kind of thing, a new kind of consciousness, and even able to have abilities that maybe you never had before from releasing. Jesus walked in the desert and was tempted and all this stuff, and Buddha rejected his family and everything and his wealth, and he, went and meditated.
Well, could you imagine what kind of world would open up to us if we let go of the judgment of, let's say, different classes of people? We have the upper class, the middle class, the lower class. And if we limit our connection to people based on classes, we could miss out on getting to know some most wonderful spiritual people that are in the lower class that we probably wouldn't allow ourselves to connect to.
And it also blocks unity consciousness, and we all talk about unity consciousness, and how I see unity consciousness is when we join together in kind of creating a new reality, a new world. But right now we're kind of afraid of all that. We're kind of doing our own little dreams and goals, and we're kind of focused on, these singularly materialistic agendas. Whereas unity consciousness, you kind of have to rely on one another. So, and I do feel like the world is moving more that way, but it's kind of like a consciousness where we'll band together. It'll almost bring back barter in some sort of ways, and we'll support each other in ways that we can't support each other right now, because to do that is to compete. And as example, someone came to me tonight and they said, the funniest thing is I went into a metaphysical shop and I saw a deck that was very, very similar to your EFT deck. And I said, that's fine, because when I put it out there, I told people to copy it. I told people, I didn't try to hog it for myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's not mine. So, when we get to that unity consciousness, we won't have to, this is ours. This is ours. The earth isn't Belle's little space or my little space, or, and this is the problem with what we've done with the environment. The earth belongs to all of us, and it belongs to nature herself. So when we get into this consciousness where everything is shared rather than everything is competition, then we'll really, I think, blossom into, a real new unified consciousness.
Yeah. Do you ever think we'll
beyond? though right now.
Yeah. Do you ever think we'll evolve into the mentality of not needing to own a piece of land, but to recognize it, as you said, belongs to everyone?
I think nature's going to do some work for us on that level. She's
Mm-hmm.
going to teach us that we don't truly own everything we try to own.
Yeah.
As things start to collapse, it's almost natural that, we won't own anything anymore, and the government won't own us as well. Right now, we are owned. We not only own things, but we are owned by our government. If any one of us not want to pay taxes or to go squat somewhere, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have to pay land tax and all this other stuff. So, but when things start to collapse and fall apart, which part of our consciousness is moving towards, then we're going to, in order to survive, we're going to have to band together in ways. So.
Now, do you think that, and indeed, I hope that if you would like to be able to read this article, go to www.bellesprit.com, and that's spelled BELLESPRIT.com. At the top, there is a tab that says Team, and then click on that, look for columnist and contributors, and find Mandy Peterson's name. Click on her name, and at the bottom of her page, of course you'll be able to read all about Mandy, but at the bottom of her page you'll see a listing of all the articles that she has submitted for Bel Esprit. And the name of this particular chapter is Philosophical Splitting. And this chart is an amazing summation of the shifts and changes that we are experiencing. And what I was going to ask Mandy is, do you think that that we as a collective are we kind of taking each of these steps and stages that you list in your chart, or is it we can skip around and some of us are here and some of us are there?
Well, like I said, like the name of the chapter, there's a split going on. So what I see happening right now, some people are waking up and they're healing the split, but the majority of people, their energy is going in two split directions.
Okay.
So they're really trying harder and harder to get the money and all this other stuff and to manifest, and they're going that way with that one energy, and then they're going the spiritual path with their energy at the same time. So this is creating a split. And I believe this is why we're noticing more health problems, more problems in nature, and I describe this in the chapter too. And so, I think this is why kind of we're becoming almost split in our personality as well, because we're pursuing split things, and then our health is reflecting this. A lot of us are more tired. We're having ascension symptoms. I basically believe ascension symptoms are a result of this split, and it's our energies trying to get us back into wholeness in some sort of way, or tell us what is going on. People are getting headaches because they're split between the mind and the heart. They're not sleeping right. They're anxious. They're having all these issues. Some of it is a healing crisis. Things are coming up, but some of it is because they're not paying attention to the healing crisis, and they got to keep that lifestyle going and going and going and going. And instead of actually listening to what the split is trying to tell them and how to mend it and how to come back and find what Buddha called the middle path, the path of moderation. Because right now our identity is so wrapped up in, and it's brainwashed. It's brainwashed into us through the media, through culture, through law of attraction ideas and everything else, that we have to go, be. We can't relax. We have to work 9 to 5. Laziness is seen as a horrible thing. So we're rejecting the yin energy. And I talk about this a lot too, is the yin and yang energy. We're very yang right now. We don't trust the yin. We believe yin is dangerous because it means you can't accomplish enough. It means you aren't enough. It means you can't have enough. But yin is gentle. It's trusting. And you need a balance of the yin and the yang. So,
it's sort of that energy of stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, and the one thing my guides say is the block. It's really, there's two blocks actually: materialism and denial. those of us who are letting go of the materialism will heal the split. Those of us who aren't, it's kind of like I say in my chart, it says on the left-hand side of the chart, concepts of price tag and ownership are seen as illusion. Everything is free. Nothing and no one owns us, and likewise we cannot own anything or anyone else. On the right side of the chart, it says concepts of price tags and ownership are seen as real and necessary for survival. Therefore, out of fear of loss and lack, there results pursuance of copyrights, a focus on ownership, attitudes of non-sharing, as well as treating life and others as entities to buy or sell or market to. The world and others own us, and we and others own the world. So really, until we are willing to give up that consciousness, we're kind of blocking ourselves. And the other thing is denial, because we're denying the greater effects. We're denying what our collective consciousness is manifesting at a bigger level from these attitudes, from these beliefs, because everything comes from beliefs. Everything is manifested from beliefs, but we're not looking at the bigger picture and going backwards and asking, what collective thoughts are manifesting this?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It kind of boils down, when we talk about copyrights and ownership, it sort of boils down to a comment that I made in our interview that we did for the January issue for the anniversary of Bel Esprit, and I made a comment about people wanting to copyright written works and copyright a name and copyright a word, trademark and so forth, and we talked about this a little bit, and I made the statement that why is it that if Spirit freely gives us knowledge and guidance and inspiration, do we then feel that we own it and must charge for it?
It's because we haven't learned to join. Mm-hmm. When we learn to join, sorry, I don't know if there's echo on your side, but there's on mine.
I can hear it a little bit.
But when we learn to join, we won't need money to survive. And right now, because we need money to survive, the more you have, the more leisure you have, etc., the more there's this consciousness that we have to own. So if we can merge together, then we won't have to sell books in order to make money to live, etc.
You wouldn't have to work either in order to live. It would be.
Now, is there a way to fix that echo? Because it's really.
I think it's coming through Skype.
Okay.
And I hope that it's going to just iron itself out here shortly. It tends to sometimes struggle with its ability to perform well, but hopefully that will go away. But you were talking about just a second ago. You were mentioning something about we won't find that desperation, if you will, to need to sell things and make a whole lot of money and so forth. And you've talked a lot about these communities.
Yeah.
Of people.
And if you imagine it, ETs probably don't sell anything either. So it's an illusion. Money is the biggest illusion, and we are taught that money means energy and money means all these things. No, it doesn't. You've been brainwashed to believe something that isn't true. Because if it was true, all the mystics of the world would have no health. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, because they gave up everything. So, we've been taught all these concepts, and it's really about weeding through these concepts. And when we join together, see, there's fear, and we talk about everything being fear-based and letting go of fear. But everything we do in life is fear-based because we need money. Money is the biggest fear-based factor of life because it keeps you dependent on so many different structures, and it keeps you needing to compete with your fellow man, needing to strive in certain ways. And so that's why I think joining together and creating these communities will help us have a backdrop. You know what I mean? Because if I'm with you, Bel, and we join with Stephen here in the chat room, and if we join with all these other people together and say we're going to build a community, we're going to share all our resources and knowledge. Someone can do the electric work, someone could do this, someone could do that. you become interdependent rather than dependent.
Right.
And it becomes a sharing instead of, instead of an owning thing, and treating everyone like, I don't know about anyone out there, but when I go to Twitter, it depresses me because the minute I add someone, they're trying to market me something. That's not treating me as a human being. Come by, check out my new thing, and purchase, and they go to the page and it's purchase this, purchase that. I'm just seen as someone to market to. I'm not really seen as someone to care about. So when we join in these communities, we're going to ascend that consciousness, and we're going to learn how to join together, seeing the oneness energy and how we're all interdependent. We're all one. We're all from the same source. Again, I think the biggest illusion is money right now,
Mm-hmm.
and we forget that it is an illusion. So, and it becomes too important. Not saying that we have to cut everything off right now, but it's something to work towards.
Yeah, and I know what you mean with Twitter. I have Twitter both for my personal account and for the magazine, and it's all about promote, 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 market, market, market. And it's less about knowing the person that you're friends with or the
Yeah.
person that you're following.
And even when you read that list sometimes, I can't even go on Twitter because even when I read that list, a lot of the people are promoting affirmations. It's a bit, be careful what you take on, because even if you look through that list, a lot of the affirmations like believe in your dreams and go out and you can change your dream. Like we're taught, okay, what is your dream? Start asking, what is your dream? Does it involve money? Does it involve having to be the best at something? Does it involve, and is that really an aspiration? Like, take it apart. Do you need to be at the best at everything? Is that
Mm-hmm.
really the way to be happy? I mean, what are you trying to achieve underneath that? What are you trying to find? Are you trying to find self-worth? Are you trying to find love? Are you trying to find happiness? Are you trying to find unity? And then I always tell people, work towards the core issue and manifesting that instead of the external dream, or, because right now society's so dysfunctional that a lot of our dreams are dysfunctional too. So, not saying for people not to have them, but I just noticed in the Twitter stream, a lot of the affirmations that people promote, there's subtle messages underneath for you not to believe in yourself, not to see life in any different way than this striving mentality, and to actually not use law of attraction to free yourself instead of stay stuck in all that stuff. But that's what the awakening is going to do, because that's what we're waking up to. That's why it's called an awakening.
Yeah. What a
It's
boy.
an illusion.
What a wonderful world. Well, Mandy, we're going to take a quick break,
Okay.
and when we come back, we're going to continue talking about your first chapter in the book, I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. And tonight we're talking about that first chapter, philosophical splitting. So don't go away, and we will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Path of the Lotus with your host, Mandy Peterson, and of course, Belle Salisbury. And we've been talking today about Mandy's book that's coming out called I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. And we're talking about the first chapter of her book that focuses around philosophical splitting. And so, Mandy, you were talking about why are split philosophies followed and served? What are some of the main themes that we see in that?
Well, I see, first of all, there's rationalization of our lifestyles. So, and that's kind of a conditioning process where we condition that our lifestyles are the only way we can live. And we don't try to look outside of them because they're just so conditioned within us that we never even think to question them. Now, the second one is denial of the fruits being created within nature. So, in order to preserve the split, we have to ignore what's happening in nature, and this is why some of these philosophies that say, don't think about nature, you'll manifest it, or whatever, those philosophies arise. And so we're taught not to look at nature, and ask her for her guidance on what we're really thinking, what we're really doing, and all this other stuff. We just continue to manifest pollution and all these other things. The third one is angelic, guru, or paranormal reinforcement. So this means that we take certain philosophies or metaphysical principles or channeled readings or whatever, and we read them in ways that support the split. You know, they might talk about love or whatever, but we don't question what love is. We read it in a way where we, again, preserve the split. And the fourth one is that we have a belief that we've come here to serve two purposes rather than one. And one's a spiritual purpose and one's a life purpose. So your spiritual purpose would be to meditate and to reach that ascended consciousness and everything else, and that your life purpose would be to materially strive in the world. And we don't realize those purposes are split.
Wow. And,
so I can discuss each individually if you want.
Yeah, and the fact that we're trying to rationalize it. I guess while you were talking, I was sort of, my mind was kind of thinking of the one phrase that, I am a soul, I am not a human with a soul, but a soul having a human experience.
Yeah, exactly. And that still holds true.
Yeah. But I guess if we could, if we could get the two together, the soul and the humanness, the body, if we could get us together without thinking of us as a separate,
Yeah.
I think that it would actually certainly start making more sense.
To find the middle path.
Yeah.
So.
And doesn't that sort of follow with, the philosophical splitting? In the Bible, Jesus cautions us of following two masters.
Yep, I wrote that right in there. He said if you worship one, the other would be your enemy. And I think, and even Buddha talked about this too, and I think what they're really talking about is this split. But they didn't communicate it in a way that we could truly get it. And it's a hard, even if you notice how I'm talking tonight, sorry, there's a bit of echo again.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Even if you notice how I'm talking tonight, it's hard to grasp and until you can actually see the other side of the coin. We can only see one side of a coin because we haven't been told, flip it over. Look at another way to look at this. And so it's we don't really understand, what did Jesus mean when he told us we couldn't serve two masters, money and spirit? We think it's all about one's the devil and one's whatever. Mm-hmm. So, but it's not about that. It's really because when you pursue one thing to all ends, you have to turn away from the other one to a degree, split yourself.
Right.
And then I wrote, Jesus offered us a way to save ourselves from our material illusions by making the ultimate sacrifice, his life. He wanted to teach man that his flesh was not his spirit. Our material existence is not the truth of what God is or what his sons are. Our spirit will not suffer if we give up serving what is illusion in order to pursue truth. So now, I don't see it everywhere. There's different concepts, but there's some people who are saying that Jesus never died, or that, this is all a grand conspiracy, because law of attraction, if Jesus used it the right way, he would have never manifested his death. But I see it differently. I see maybe he was willing to die because he knew that life is transcendent, that he was trying to teach us, and we're told to follow Jesus, and we're told to believe in Jesus. And I don't think it's just believing in him as a person, but in what he stood for. So what did he do? He stood up to the government.
Mm-hmm. His
he
accusers,
said, I'm afraid of you. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
He said, I am who I am. And he wasn't willing to let the government try to condemn him into being anything else. And he could have run away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if he had run away, people would not have seen it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been just another person who ran away out of fear and made illusions real. So that's my personal opinion.
So do you think
And
that's kind of what we're doing right now? Is that that we're beginning to wake up and realize that we no longer want to be dictated by our government, and so don't you think that's kind of what we're doing,
I love it.
or
I love
starting
it.
to?
Yeah, except there's a lot of blame, but it's good. Just it's good that it's questioning things. And even when Ariel first came to me, I didn't understand, and she was like, question everything, question what you buy, what you serve, what you believe in, and it was like a really forceful message, like just to really start questioning absolutely everything. And I know like a lot of channeled messages say, just float, just float and be love and whatever. But the message I got was for me, I'd already done that. I'd already floated, but it hadn't gotten me to flip over the coin. I was floating in two directions.
Hmm.
So what Ariel wanted me to do was start asking questions, not in a way of blame, but in a way of as without, so within. So even the Illuminati conspiracies and all those things out there, I don't necessarily see them in the same way other people do. It doesn't mean I don't see them, that we aren't manifesting some of these issues, but we're manifesting them because they were in us first. The greed, the materialism, the corruption, everything is within us first. The need for shortcuts, the burdening ourselves, the enslaving ourselves to our addictions, that was in us first. So these corporations and governments and everything are just manifesting this at a larger scale. But it is good that people are starting to wake up and go, hey, this isn't functional anymore, The next step is that people will go, wow, how have I, and this is what Ariel did to me, is it said, no, you're not off the hook.
Hmm.
You've contributed to this. And that was a specific message for me, and I had a hard time with it for a while. And I didn't understand it. It was like through everything I bought, everything and again, it's not for us to judge ourselves.
Hmm.
It's just for us to realize how consciousness manifests. So your thoughts aren't the only thing that manifests. Everything you buy manifests into something. Everything you act upon manifests into something. Everything you believe in and don't challenge gives power to something. And I was told you can there's two things you can serve. You can serve spirit or you can serve materialism. You can serve illusion or you can serve truth. You can serve God, you can serve man. So, and again, I use those terms loosely because that's a very general term, God, and I don't necessarily mean the in the Christian sense. So, she was asking me to examine everything by terms of what am I truly serving. So when I go buy a Pop-Tart, just as an example, what am I serving? I'm giving energy to the corporation who created the Pop-Tarts. There's a big, everything is connected. And as soon as I realized how everything is connected, it's really one consciousness, it's one dream. It
Yeah.
changes everything, and you can't see life in the same way anymore.
So you make your own Pop Tarts.
Exactly. If you have to buy Pop Tarts, you know what it's contributing to.
Yeah.
So, and that's the third part of the chapter is it's not about force, it's really about awakening. And when you start to see how energy moves and how everything we do impacts something else, it really, and we are a collective consciousness that's moving in certain directions, and you can pull away from that collective consciousness at the same time. That is the true awakening, and that will move the energy on its own. Because even if we feel entrapped right now and we can't leave the money system, if enough of us are willing to leave that collective consciousness, it'll find a way. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, Belle, but whenever you're ready to shift something, the means seem to start to come about. So
I agree. And we're actually beginning to see where certain empires are falling. And
yeah,
let's look at a lot of the controversy that we've heard in the past around religious leaders.
yeah,
Think of the controversy that we've seen, especially this past year, around colleges and their sports teams, and
and
the
those things.
yeah.
See, this trend that follows through all of those things, even into the New Age community and the beliefs in the New Age community. But it's usually the same trend. It's one stream of consciousness that is focused on survival, and I think this is why Revelations terms it the beast, because it's very survival consciousness, it's very pack leader consciousness, in classes and packs, and we have a leader and all this other stuff. So there's this stream that runs through. Why is the same reason the colleges are corrupt and the government's corrupt and the church is corrupt is all one. It's all greed and corruption. It's lack of awareness, is the words that are coming to me. But
it's also an awakening process that we're experiencing. We're seeing these great, as Spirit's been telling me, this year we will see many great towers fall.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's good, but the biggest tower is when we see that reflected in ourselves and we start changing our lifestyles. That was another message. Change your lifestyle to suit your spiritual beliefs rather than changing your spiritual beliefs to suit your lifestyle.
Exactly. The change starts with you.
Exactly. So it's all within us. The corruption without us is within us because we haven't learned to free ourselves from it. And on one level, we are already free. So again, I'm not saying all this stuff so that we judge people, and that's not why it was given to me. It's to see it as if you're dreaming a dream at night, and all this action is happening, and you're going to turn it into a lucid dream. You're going to become lucid, and you're going to wake up in your dream instead of floating along, and all this chaos is going around you, and you're kind of like a victim of the stream of the dream. So when you become lucid in a dream, you kind of wake up and you start knowing, okay, why certain things are coming up, and that you can actually have some control over it, or that you can actually be awake and you don't react to it as much. You know what I mean?
And you notice the symbolism, much
Exactly.
as we get symbols in dreams, we're going to be able to start recognizing the symbolism in our waking times to realize the message that's coming through and areas that we need to change or focus.
And that would be another thing I noticed, and I would have a dream, and I would be in the eye of a tornado, and it would be the night before that. Actually, I was having a nap, and it would be the day of that the tornadoes that went through the States, and I was looking outside, and there was all this, like, I was in the eye of a tornado, and I said, "Why is this happening?" I don't even know why I asked why, but then an angel appeared and said, "The world has become too yang, too focused on conquest and producing," and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I looked it up when I woke up. I was like, you know what? We are very yang. So I wonder if the yang energy is a reflection. The solar flare is yang too because it's sun, right?
Yeah.
And we don't trust yin anymore. We don't trust gentleness. We've been taught simplicity is failure. We've been taught simplicity is not abundance. But abundance is in you. It's in living things. It's in nature. It's not in the non-living. It's not in money. It is in life. It is in the trees. It is in the grass. It is in your molecules. It is in the miracle of our existence. Here, I'm getting philosophical.
But what's interesting is that when I lay down in the afternoon to take a nap, that is when I have my most intense prophetic type dreams.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's not so much in the evening, it's in the afternoons, when I have the opportunity to lay down. That seems to be when, I get these types of dreams too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. But it is the message here is that that we have become too aggressive.
Yeah.
And
trust them.
Yeah. And
if you sit back in your house and you rest, what is all coming to your mind? Oh my God, I'm not going to make money. Oh my God, I'm not going to succeed at something. Oh my God, I'm not. So the even thought of resting. This is why people won't allow themselves to be sick. To see a healer, and this is where I started learning stuff, is because I was the healer. I was the EFT practitioner, and it's everyone wanted a quick fix so that they could go back. And I was like, well, your body's really telling you to rest. I don't have time for rest. I have to have this quick fix and I have to go back or my business is going to fail or blah, blah, or I'm going to fail this exam. And I had people come to me, some students would come to me for EFT healings because they were so overwhelmed and they were so tired and they couldn't focus. They had all these stressors going on and they couldn't focus. So they wanted a healing session so that they could get their focus back to jump back into the world again and, and do all the striving
And
things.
start it all over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then why it doesn't stick. It's because nature's speaking. Nature's loving. People have to stop seeing that it's punishment if something happens to us. It's love. Everything that happens to us, good or bad, is love. It's trying to teach us the way back to love.
It's an awakening. I mean, it truly is. Anytime something bad happens, you know, it's that old scenario when the door closes, a window is always open, you know, or that when one door closes, another is ready to be opened. And that's true. We're always going to be taken care of in one form or another, but always, always our most intimate needs are going to be met.
Well, it's not even about like the needs, because that gets back into the neediness again.
Well, no.
So even if you lose everything, it's an act of love if it's teaching you to let go.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I meant, was that our intimate needs, you know,
okay.
the need for survival or the need to, you know, just to live, you know, we come to realize, especially look how many people have lost jobs and are now living on the bare essentials. But you know what? They're surviving.
But I want
They're
even people to move
making do.
past survival needs. I want them to move past the physical needs, because the truth is, when certain times come, not all of our survival needs are going to be met. So, but again, that brings us back to the Christ consciousness. Christ was willing to give up, you know, survival and in order to trust that he was eternal. So what the world is speaking right now is, you know, a Wallop lesson, and it's a loving lesson in letting go, because as disasters happen, the biggest lesson is letting go. This doesn't mean that everyone is going to survive. I don't want people thinking that this is what it's about physical survival. It isn't. It's about spiritual survival. So, you know, and it's not to be judged as right or wrong or bad or good, but we will have created it. We will, if something happens, we will have created it, because what we're creating on the planet right now is this huge screaming message. I don't have enough. I am not enough. I'm not doing enough. You know, we're screaming that out vibrationally into the planet as a mantra. And what is going to manifest?
That you're not going to have enough.
So, you know, the best thing people can do right now is affirm miracle abundance, you know, consciousness, and to just know we are abundant irregardless of anything physical. The abundance is there, and it's within the physical at the same time. But you don't want to get relying on that lifeless stuff, the money and everything else. I'm not saying people should go out and actively try to die or anything, but what I'm saying is the more of us who let that go and join together, like you said, that part will be action. Because if people are really willing to let go of that screaming that I am not enough, I don't have enough consciousness, to join together and trust that they can have enough together, then those communities are going to be the ones that find their needs met because they trusted enough to let go enough to join together. Now, are people's heads exploding yet?
Oh, it's just, you know, it really just kind of boils down to embracing the simplicity of our existence. You know,
exactly.
when we have these devastating weather patterns, you know, where, and in fact, I just thought, was it yesterday? I was listening to the news for a brief moment, and a boulder had rolled off of a hill or a mountain, whatever it was, and crashed into a person's house.
Wow.
And of course, my immediate thought was, oh, bless their heart, I hope nobody was hurt, yada, yada. But then my next thought was, well, I guess Mother Earth got their attention.
Yeah, really, eh?
But if we think about it, when we're dealing with devastation, whether it's tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, tsunamis, or what have you, the consensus seems to be coming from people saying, "How will I ever rebuild? Now I have to start over," and they see that as a terrible thing. When I would see it as wiping the slate clean.
Some people are like preparing, and I think we talked about this earlier, that there are people preparing, and they're reading up on how to grow your own food.
Mm-hmm.
They're called the preppers, and they'll be able to go into these new communities and start with a new foundation, and and especially the ones that switch over in power now. Those are going to be the communities that are able to thrive, because they'll have switched over in their power and everything. And but again, that doesn't mean it's just it's really going to be a big consciousness shift, and part of it's through Mother Nature, and part of it is the needs of the planet as well. There's too much population on this planet to sustain life anymore. So and it's not something, again, it's all about love. I mean, even if we all destroyed ourselves, we'd still come back and we'd learn the same lesson. And the same lesson is love. We destroyed ourselves because we didn't love.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I really do think, the more we can join together, I don't believe the future's in stone either. And I think a lot of us have already been told how bad disasters get depends on us. And I believe if we learn our lessons sooner, and if we can start joining in a way where we less need these erratic lessons, and the more we trust, then, we'll make it through. And some people do believe we will ascend off the planet. And I don't know. But I just know the messages that I've been given.
Interesting indeed. Well, you know what? Let's take a break. We're at the top of the hour, or very close to the top of the hour. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to continue talking about philosophical splitting, which is a chapter taken out of Mandy's upcoming book, I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. So don't go away. We will be right back. Hi, welcome back to Path of the Lotus with your host, Mandy Peterson, and myself, Belle Salisbury. And we've been talking about philosophical splitting. And Mandy, you were going to talk about during this next segment how to bridge that philosophical splitting.
Yep, and I discussed that in my book too. Sorry if there's an echo. So the very first point is you will need or want something until you do not need or want it anymore. So basically, we have all these needs and we have all these wants, and we will have them until we just, part of us just doesn't need them anymore. So, and that comes from changing your beliefs. And I put, we are not required to apply judgment. We can truly have whatever we want in life, including any life purpose or dream. And the more we become conscious dreamers, the more we may experience an awakening process towards seeing the dualities we are creating, seeing what is manifesting on a larger scale, seeing our role, however small, in what is manifesting on a larger scale, and seeing how what is manifesting is being affected by what or who we choose to serve. So, and then the second one is just dealing with our issue with dualities and just learning to let the positives and the negatives go so that it all merges into kind of, I think we need to first see what we're creating, and then you kind of let it go, and you go into that non-dualistic type thinking. And I point out how there is no real duality, because what's considered positive to one person could be considered negative to another person. Mm-hmm. Even like you said earlier, disasters can seem positive to the person who wants things to fall apart, but they're negative to the person who wants to cling to the old ways of being. So I put, if one thing can be seen both positive and negative, then it's neither. So, and this is a lot of things, and the more you learn that everything's a lesson in love, everything is positive. It's just we're really learning how to become the expression of love, and whatever we perceive as negative that's created is just part of that learning process. It's something we can use to get us back on the path again. And then the third point is neither force nor perfection is the way. So it's not like we're supposed to mentally cut ourselves off and force ourselves to into all this new type of thinking or believing or whatever it is. It's to let it kind of trickle in. And for me, it was an awakening process where I just realized life is a dream, and you can almost decode it in the same way as a dream at night. And you know, when you're sleeping in a dream and you become lucid, like I said before, you become a watcher of the dream, and it's like you watch everything and you feel totally different. Like when you're in the dream, you feel all the feelings and you're engaged in it and you're reacting to everything that's going on. And once you become lucid, you still see everything. The point is not to go into denial and say that isn't happening, or if I think about it, it might happen, or whatever our denial tells us to do. It's about, oh, I see that's happening. It's happening because this is symbolic of this and that is symbolic of that, and using law of attraction backwards. So instead of using your thoughts to manifest into the world of form, you're going to take what's already manifested and you're going to go backwards to see where the thoughts are and the symbolisms and everything else, so that you can see what beliefs are really driving what's happening on the planet. And then it totally does become like a dream. And when you decode your dreams at night, you often use this backwards process. You don't go forwards. Like, you don't take your dream and then try to use those thoughts to manifest into the future, because the dream's already happened. But you use it backwards, and you can do the same thing with the dream of life.
And it makes so much sense. And I just really think that I think we're in this process. I think this is what's happening now around us, don't you?
To a degree. I mean, it's starting, but I mean, I wouldn't be here speaking if everyone already got this. And I'm sure some of these concepts are blowing people's minds because they've never thought of it in these ways before. But yes, life is moving us in that direction. Some of us are going to resist. Some of us will change, and some of us, it's going to be very hard for those who are used to teaching the opposite concepts. So, but there is still a lot of resistance in the world, but it is starting to switch, and I do notice that people are waking up to that materialism and law of attraction, how we practiced it, might not be the way anymore. It might not be what's necessary for, our ultimate happiness or even survival on this planet, So when things start falling, we're not going to be able to fall back on, let's use our thoughts to manifest. We're going to have to go back, where did our thoughts go wrong? So,
Yeah. So, I forgot what I was going to ask you here. I just so cannot multitask. What you were saying kind of reminds me of a movie that I sat and watched with my grandchildren called Nanny McPhee. Anybody heard that movie? She comes in as a nanny for these children, and her whole concept is, if you need me but do not want me, I must stay. But if you want me and do not need me, then I must go.
Yeah, that's true.
And it sort of follows along this same growth process, don't you think? That, right now we're in that state of we want something yet do not need it.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been trained to want it. So that's what people have to realize is every commercial you see, and now every time I see commercials, it's like, whether they're on antidepressant commercials or anything else, it's people telling you need certain things. All the books you read on spirituality is people telling you need certain things. You need the money, you need the abundance, you need all this stuff, and we can weed through it all. And I love this quote by Osho, and he goes, So pleasure seems to be a trick of desire to trick you into pain. First, the painful will drop, and you will be able to see that pleasure is illusory, unreal, a dream. 99% of desires will disappear through understanding, and then the final happens. It happens simultaneously. 100% of desires disappear, and the original mind arises in a single moment, not as a cause and effect, but as simultaneous together. So what he's trying to impress upon everyone is that the same way everything painful is illusion, everything pleasure is illusion also.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know that, everything starts to merge into one, and you begin to drop everything. You begin to drop all this stuff. And this is what the book title is about. It's called I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. So the muddy pond is the collective consciousness. It's all the ideas that have told you you're this and you're that, and you're defined by success and failure and have to strive, and you're this because the world says that. And you let that go to become the pure lotus within, and to know who you are beyond the abundance concepts, beyond the materialism, beyond your job or how you define yourself or how you define your life purpose. You are, and I'm hearing the words I am. You become the great I am. So that doesn't mean you never have any desire again, but it means your desires don't control you. They aren't needed, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
So. Again, and what they're pointing to me right now is to go to the root level. So in anything you desire, go to the root level of what you're trying to achieve and see if you're trying to achieve it externally, and then try switching that and seeing if you can bring it up internally. So without it being dependent on anything external. So whether it's self-worth, happiness, joy, safety, anything, you bring it from within instead of through trying to achieve something external in the world.
So, I guess my guide's talking in my ear here. They're actually telling me that we truly are in this process of bridging this split, as you call it. And it's where we're becoming more unsettled with how our lives have been going.
Because the split is becoming, we're becoming awakened to the split,
right?
And the environment is going to mirror that split. Disasters mirror the split. What else is an earthquake? So. But I don't like. I only kind of went against you a bit because I don't want people listening to assume, oh, we're already there.
No,
we
no,
don't.
no.
It's not anything we.
This
so
is the beginning. I mean, we're really
it's the
starting.
beginning. It's an awakening process, and I don't want people. There are a lot of people in the world who are stuck and who are going to cling, and they have to know the consequences, and that's the wrong word, but how things are manifesting, because people still believe it's a desired quality to manifest in certain ways. And what my guides say is this is where we're stuck.
Right.
This is we need to overcome, and there's still a lot of work we can do. But like I said, nature will do it for us if we don't do it first. So if we truly cling to everything, it'll still be like your guides say, it's a process and it's happening, whether we like it or not. But there's a way we can do it where it'll be a more comfortable process, is what I'm going to say. So, and we're not there yet. So.
Right, and I think that their comment is actually more so in support of what you're saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They're saying, basically, hey, listen up, because you're seeing it happening right now. It's in process right now. It isn't in completion. I think we're in these beginning stages, and that's why we're seeing so many countries in a state of unrest, or people are starting to rise against. A lot
of people are playing the blame game, but it'll still move up.
Right. It's an evolutionary process, but they're basically speaking this in terms of support of what your book is about.
Okay.
to awaken us to realize, look around you, look at what's changing, and or what needs to be changed.
And I think that's what 2012 was about. I know people thought everything was going to happen on one day or whatever,
No.
but the feeling I got, and I know I've talked about with this with you before,
Hmm.
is it started around 2011 or 2010 even. And this process, well, I mean, it went longer than that, but this crux of this different kind of energy moving, and it seems to have started, and then it goes over 2012, and like you said, I think to 2015, and then these changes just keep happening. It's not like a one day process.
Yeah.
But it's meant to happen, and that's why the Mayans, and they told us we were moving from, I don't know if it's a fourth or fifth sun, different Mayans seem to see it different, but we're either moving out of the fourth sun into the fifth or the fifth into the sixth. So, um, and I really do believe that. And it's like a portal is open, and we're not allowed anymore to kind of to stay in this realm. So,
it, my mind is just going like 100 miles an hour, and I certainly hope that our listeners are understanding, the message that we're bringing. And certainly, if you have any comments about what Mandy is talking about, or you wish to call in and share your comment, you can either post your comment in the chat room at the Hazy Radio Network, or you can call in at area code 910-764-6188. We do want to hear your comments and any questions that you might have.
yeah, definitely, because this is a unity process, and
Hmm.
I think when I started talking, there was a lot of resistance to a lot of these ideas, but I am seeing, some people kind of share similar themes, and I know you even had another columnist come on board who is talking about collective consciousness and stuff like that. So, it is becoming, a lot of us are waking up in ways, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, if you've thought that people are starting to see what you're talking about. You think people are starting to realize that change is going to be necessary?
Yeah, totally. And I know someone showed me something the other day too, and it was right online with what I was talking about. And I showed you that site that I went to, which it was almost verbatim, stuff that I that had been given to me,
Hmm.
and even down to like that, it's all about service. What you serve, the self or the whole, um, or the spirit or man, or all the it's really about service. But yeah, I am seeing people wake up, but like as a collective, I don't think, like, I think all I was referring to you is I don't think everyone's there yet. There's
Right.
the leaders, the light workers are starting to arrive. Well, they've always been there, but you know what I mean? They're starting
There.
to see the flip side of the coin.
Exactly.
So,
We're awakening. That's the key, is that we're starting to awaken to the idea that we're not separate.
no. And even they're actually showing me right now a picture of the universe and ETs and all that. And we're not separate from all that either.
Mm-mm. No.
So it's all like it's one process unfolding.
And
It's
Jojo
all
is
part of a plan. And
Jojo in
like
the chat room is saying, she says change definitely is happening. She feels it and wonders who else can feel it.
and I remember I had a dream, and seems funny, but I had ETs come to me in a dream,
Oh,
and they were
really?
like,
Cool.
they were kind of implying it's all this great experiment, and they said there's all these energies interacting on Earth right now. It's almost like we're being tested for how we will react to certain things. It's like we're being given all this stimuli, and they said in the end it's all about what we'll end up serving, and that even it was a male being, but he said that even the negative influence that seemed to be deceiving us on the earth, he said it's really only tricking, because it's really for it's our own consciousness experiment, and it's part of their consciousness experiment too. And there's
Wow.
all these dualities going on right now, because we've chosen to learn who we are through these dualities. So we keep flipping back and forth. I think that's what the pole shifts mean too. When the pole shifted in Atlantis, they were the other side of the coin, and then they flipped to experience the duality, and it's like the poles are going to shift to the other side again. So, and they keep shifting back and forth.
Wow. So I'm sitting here. My guides are like da, 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 in my ear.
What are they saying?
um, the biggest thing they're saying is they're telling me, what she speaks is truth, and this is truly going to take many years or several years of a process
Yeah.
before we really start to see the changes
I
taking
see
place.
2030 is
Yeah,
when.
exactly. I was just about to say it's really going to be more predominant to our visual eyes as we get into about 2015 to 2018, but the changes in effect are really going to be more notable as we get into the late 20s and 2030.
Yeah, it's like the old structure has to fall.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, like you said, we're feeling uncomfortable and we're feeling split and all this stuff. So this is what's manifesting.
And the
And
thing is that, yes, we look at 2030 and go, oh, well, I've still got 20 years. No, we don't. We have today. And that's our only
yeah,
guarantee
exactly.
is today.
Well, that's the shifts actually start before. I mean,
Hmm.
like the new reality will be in.
In
It'll
place.
be starting to flow in, but like the shifting process has already started. And that's another thing my guides do is if anyone knows my predictions, is they prepare for Earth changes. They kind of, I don't, they give me all this information on Earth changes and stuff like that. But we
Yeah, and
can,
you've
like I
you've
said earlier, we
begun.
can make the process easier if we want.
Yeah, and you've begun a food storage program for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Explain why
And
you're doing that.
because I have a feeling that there could be power outages as things start happening and shifting and all that. There could be power outages, there could be disasters, there could be other things that happen. I have a bag that I've prepared too, just in case, a disaster happens and you're asked to leave your home. So, and again, these things, if they happen, will help us to band together and to join. There's going to be upheaval first, of course, but we have to find the other processes. We can already learn to join communities. Some of them right now cost money, otherwise I would join some. But unfortunately the
And
money
again,
system
that's
is
for the
still
wrong
strong.
reason. These communities are formulated for the wrong reason. If they're
Well,
charging you money to be a
because
part of
girl
them.
can't buy land. I mean, you
Hmm.
can't squat anywhere. I was talking about that earlier to someone, and it's like if I wanted to go out and squat, I would probably be arrested.
Yeah.
So, until everything falls and we don't rely on the money system anymore, um, but again, you can prepare if you do have the money, and like we were talking about on break, look for solar rent your roof programs.
Yeah.
I could get one on my house because I have too much shading over my roof, but ask your local governments or representatives if there's any solar rent your roof programs you can take part of. You can make money while allowing the government to put solar panels on your roof. We have it in Ontario, but I'm sure it's something you can ask for. And another thing my guides are really concerned about, and have been concerned about for a while, is nuclear power, any kind of nuclear issue, and they really don't like seeing us being, so lax in resolving it. And this is all symbolic too. Power is an amazing symbol. You're either giving it away or you're owning your own. And notice all the times we kind of have to pay for power from an outside source and all that, it ends up
Hmm.
toxic. And all the forms
Hmm.
of power that make us independent and self-sufficient, they are often healthy for the planet. So, another message was to re-examine power and see how symbolic everything is. See how it makes you dependent or independent. a child or an adult. Right now, we're perceived by ETs as little children who need little toys. You need all our toys, and we're not very good at taking care of ourselves. We need to be taken care of by outside sources, and then we blame when things don't go our way. We expect these outside sources to be responsible for us. The mature level of awareness to go into is we need less toys. We're more co-creative. We're more interdependent. We rely on one each other. We're more self-sufficient. We can take care of ourselves. And there's less blame because you're recognizing your own role in everything. So, that's what we're being asked to move into.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting how I was telling Mandy during the break that I saw a picture of what's known as a solar farm. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
was, we've seen the windmills, the people who designate a certain amount of land for these windmills that generate power. Well, there was a photograph that I saw of these solar panels on this plot of land that were row by row and by row of these solar panels that our electric companies had to buy this excess power from these farmlands, those who were generating them. And this particular news article that I saw was that these power companies were now disputing the amount that they're paying to these farmers, saying, well, that's too high, that's too much. And I
Yeah.
sort of chuckled when I read that because I thought, oh, okay, when you're the one having to pay for power, you're going to whine and cry about it, but you expect us to suck it up and pay your rates. you
Yeah, but
know,
you could also see it the other way. I mean, anything
exactly.
we can do, um, even to take a less, because it gets into all the ownership thing again. Just be grateful you have your own power and it's on your house and you are able to make a little bit of money. But you see, the biggest problem on the planet right now is the high reliance on nuclear power to offset the demand because hydroelectricity isn't really offering us enough anymore. So imagine if everyone who could got solar panels and sold their power to the government for one cause, not worrying about the money you're going to get back, but thinking about the whole and the environment. So you're going to sell your energy back to the government, and then suddenly the government has this excess money and can dismantle some of its nuclear power programs, which isn't an easy process because you can't get rid of this waste. So what you have to do is it's a process of having to dismantle the power plant and embed it in cement, or I don't know the exact process, but this we really need to start doing this and start caring for the whole. And so anyone who's listening there, if you do have the money, you do have the ability, or you know people who do, or even ask your Congress people that you want rent your roof programs so that you can get free power. You can put put it on your roof and then you can sell back to the government. The thing is, it's not advertised enough, so people don't know.
And that's how they would prefer us, I think, at this point, is to remain
They're
ignorant.
scared. They're
Yeah.
scared of us becoming independent.
And
You know,
that's the more independent we become of their services, the less need we have for their services, the less money they're pocketing in their pockets.
exactly. But remember, they are a reflection of us.
Hmm.
So their fear is our fear. And the reason we don't do it is the reason they don't do it. And the reason we are lax on things is the reason they are lax on things. The reason we don't let go of things is the reason they don't let go of things. So if we want to shift that energy, it has to start within us. And it can't be a blame game anymore. It really has to be seeing as without, so within it. And you want to detach yourself from that collective consciousness of fear, because it is fear-based. And you want to go with the love. You want to serve the whole. And you want to kind of ascend, since people talk about ascension so much, you want to ascend that consciousness of lack. And greed is the word they're giving me. But, greed is really, we don't notice it because it's so entrenched in our society, but my guides really point that greed is the biggest problem of man right now. We speak
Hmm.
about love, but greed is really in the way, and on so subtle a level to a really high level. We want it all and we want it now, kind of thing, and we
Yeah.
have to start disbanding all that and thinking about the whole, and thinking about our children, thinking about our elders, thinking about the life that's within every tree, every plant, every creature, and everything else. The universe is always communicating with us if we'll listen.
Yeah, that's the truth. If we would just listen.
And that's the only reason I do this, folks, because as Belle knows, and before all this happened to me, I was the least likely person to speak out on anything, and this has been hard for me, as Belle knows. I've gone through some times where I just wanted to give up and crawl into my shell, but I did this because literally I was asked to listen, and then I was asked to speak. So, and I don't try to be arrogant about it or anything, but if I had the choice, I wouldn't.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. This is the bottom of the hour, and we're going to be coming up on our last segment, excuse me. And when we come back, I think we're going to talk about how do we start? Where do we start? So don't go away. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about some of the steps we can take to move forward along our own progression. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Path of the Lotus. This is Belle Salisbury, and we've been talking about Mandy's upcoming book, I Am the Lotus, Not the Muddy Pond. And so, in closing with this particular show, Mandy, where do we start? We know that change needs to take place. We need to mend the split. How do we do that?
Well, the first process is just to rethink everything you thought you knew. And we were even talking on the break about quantum physics and all that stuff. And it is true, our thoughts create a reality, but do we even know our thoughts or what reality they're creating? So, and again, you can move past that, and you can not create any reality, you know what I mean? Like, you can move beyond that, but I don't think a lot of people are there yet, so we need some middle steps. So the middle steps are just waking up to the dream of life and seeing the same way your dreams at night manifest based on feelings and thoughts and everything else, the dream of life manifests the same way. So, but it's collective. There's a collective consciousness that manifests. So, it's just really a waking up process. And you want to see how your energy is contributing to everything. So you might want to question things you buy. I'm not telling people not to buy anything, but just start noting, what energy is it supporting? What's your use of power supporting? How does that reflect your internal source of power? Everything is symbolic. Everything has meanings. Everything in life is speaking to us on some level. And I guess the second step is for those who do want to be environmental. Look for some alternatives. I mean, I was speaking to Belle about how a lot. I was part of this. This girl wanted me to be part of this group that would send loving thoughts to healing the Gulf oil spill. And one thing I told her was, yeah, it's all nice and we could heal the water, but what happens when we dump pollution back into the water again? Because that's what our lifestyles are doing. So we want to see the balance between everything. We want to see the balance between yin and yang. We want to see the balance between lifestyle and action and in our thoughts. And we want to, begin to merge everything and to just, become lucid within the dream of life. Do you have anything to contribute?
No. I'm multitasking over here and talking. It's Scott's fault. Scott's talking to me.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I. Go ahead.
And again,
Bad Scott.
you can see my book at mysticmandy.com.
Yes.
And there's a banner right there that points to the book, and it's available for free because I wanted to try to get out of that money-based consciousness. And it's really a book. I know there seems to be some parts that are judgmental, but it's really a book about separating who we are in truth from all the illusions that we bind ourselves to. And, just really coming back to the source, coming to realize that everything is within us. Abundance is within us. We've even been taught you can't manifest abundance if you already believe it. So why are you believing it's outside of you all the time? You know, I believe we can achieve miracle mindedness and miracle manifestation, but as long as we're trying to manifest within a box that says it has to happen this way and we have to manifest money first in order to have this, this, and that, then we'll always remain bound to that. So start being able to think outside the box. And like Ariel told me, just question everything.
I'm all for serving the higher law. Overthrow the government, overthrow their control. But and that's where I think we're leading. Is heading into that direction of taking more of our own control back. But I see us doing this together. It's not just one person, running a riotous, march down the White House. I see this as a process that needs to take place, and I think that we're looking for ways in which to. We need to just kind of. Sorry
That
about
is
that.
gross. But even the subtitle of my book is called Peace Through Nonconformity. So it's kind of, and I never realized this before, but I looked up, because some of the quotes I used were from Gandhi, and I looked up Gandhi, and his message was very similar. It's about achieving peace in the world through stop conforming to things. You don't have to have an upheaval, you don't have to have a revolution. You just stop feeding the source of energy. You align your energy to what you want it to be aligned to, and you disalign your energy with what is creating what you don't want in the world. So and it's just and again, I'm talking about wants and desires again, and at some point you let those go too. But this is the middle step. It's moderation, and it's learning how we are responsible for everything, and we can have peace, through not conforming to the world anymore, rather than, fighting it. Because when you fight something, that's just another brand of fear.
Yeah, and we truly are realizing that we do have a responsibility, and that we do have the freedom of choosing that responsibility. And as you said, certain steps that we can take are, in fact, asking for, and you said these are government rentals of solar panels on the roofs?
Yeah, so like what they have in Canada, well, at least Ontario, is they have what's called a Rent Your Roof program. And I'm sure, like, I don't know if it's available in the States. I think it is in some states,
Hmm.
but you can ask for it.
Certainly look
Get your
into it,
neighbors
yeah.
and ask for it. But what you do is you allow the power companies to put solar panels on your roof, and it's subject to how much light you get and all this other stuff, but then you make your own power for free, and any extra that you have you sell back to the government or sell back to the power stations, and it's free. They put these on your roof for free. So think of it, think of if more people knew about this and more people acted upon it. First of all, you get free power.
Hmm.
Well, as an alternate, like if the total power goes out or whatever, it's a sunny day, you fall back on your power, but in general, you get more power for free, and you can sell some to the government, and at the same time, the government will rely less on nuclear power and other sources of power, and we can totally shift what's going on with our toxic power sources in the world. The other thing is the gas problem needs to be taken care of. So instead of make an intention or pray, or if you want to use thoughts, because again, it's and as I was telling Belle, if people can use their thoughts to change things, or want to believe that you can use your thoughts to change things, why aren't people using their thoughts to change our reliance on gas, or to come up with alternatives? So we really have to start thinking in terms of alternatives, rather than that we're just going to use our thoughts to clean up any mess we make.
Yeah, but
So
thoughts are great. That's the intention. So now we have to put the action into play.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of people don't even know to use their thoughts that way.
Hmm.
They don't know that, okay, I can intend that no more power sources can come in that won't keep us hooked on petroleum, which causes climate changes and which pollutes the oceans and all this other stuff. So when there's a spill. But, there's lots we can do. It's just the basic thing is start questioning everything. Why are you thinking certain things? What do you believe in? When a commercial comes on the television, question it. What is it telling you to want? What is it telling you to need? Does it tell you need 2 antidepressants instead of 1? Does it tell you that your depression isn't just isn't just emotional anymore? It has physical symptoms. Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that we're burning out and we're causing these physical symptoms from burning out from our lifestyles, and it has nothing to do with the depression? Is just a side effect of the burnout. So, just question everything.
Treat the cause, not the symptom. Scott is saying in the chat room that yes, it is available in the United States. The solar panels and the wind turbines, they are available, and so it would be in our best interest if you want to stop being reliant on these power companies, then go find out, do some searches. We've got the internet at our beck and call. Do some searches and find out in your community, in your area, what steps you need to take to become a part of that program.
Yep.
Get the solar panels or the wind turbines if you've got the land.
And I know you can go to Greenpeace and you can ask your government to disband nuclear power and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's things that people can do, but we've just been so programmed to not care and to just think, it'll just work itself out.
But don't you think that's what our government wants us to think?
Well, exactly.
Don't worry, we'll handle it. You just go about your little lives. Let us take care of it.
And the big corporations benefit from us, so that they really don't want you relying on any other source of power or organic food. And we all know about GMOs and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great. It's about dependency. It's all about power, service, and dependency. And just question who or what are you serving? Are you a little child who's dependent? Or are you becoming an adult who's self-sufficient and who's joining with other people? Any way you can join with other people, start radio programs, start whatever you want to start that can start banding people together. I know I'm going to start a column for Bel Esprit, specifically on environmental issues, just so people know how to band together, because people don't know. We don't trust each other anymore. We talk about unity consciousness, but we don't even know really how to band together without it seeming like a cult or, what do you call it? A Zionist cause or whatever, like a zealous cause, something that's radical. So, it doesn't have to be radical. It's just people learning to join together in love.
Right.
We speak about love. Let's start acting on it. Speak about unity. Let's start acting on it. Stop being afraid of joining. Stop being afraid of loving. Start caring.
I'm totally with you there, and I think that the more we can share this message, the more seeds we're planting, and the more people are going to come to realize that change does need to take place.
And then my guides had a thing to say. They said, if you don't care, who else is going to?
It starts with you.
Come and rescue us? Wouldn't they be here by now?
Yeah, right.
I just they could come in, but I don't know. But we could do it ourselves. We don't have to be dependent on something else to fix our problems.
Well, we simply need to take responsibility. Each individually take responsibility, towards changing our habits and changing our dependencies.
I think that's what Judgment Day is, too. It's not about, oh, you're horrible and blah, 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 blah. I think it's just the next step in law of attraction. We've learned to take accountability for how our thoughts manifest in our personal life, and it's just up a notch. It's just you learn how your thoughts and buying and spending and all this other stuff is responsible for what we have collectively manifested. Mm-hmm. So why are we collectively manifesting it? Do we even know? So start asking.
There you go, Pelham. Pelham in the chat room says, as soon as I can, I am going solar.
Yay!
Hot dog. Good for you.
And right now, I just use, because I already tried to apply for solar and all that stuff in the house that I live in, but I might move. But even using less power, and I did get a solar a solar generator so that I could generate, just for basic electronics in the house,
Mm-hmm.
some solar power. But, it's too bad that it costs money. And then another thing is I decreased my income deliberately so I wouldn't have to pay a lot of tax because I don't want my tax dollars to go towards
Supporting something that you don't believe in.
yeah, exactly, like wars and all this other stuff. Canada's getting involved in some stuff here, and I don't want my money going towards it. And so like everything means something. Everything reflects something. So, it's just I believe Buddha totally had the right path, and I believe it's the same path as Jesus. They've just been represented very differently. In fact, if you read Buddha, I'd never read anything Buddha written before, but it reads very much like the Bible.
Yeah, and you're looking at two different dispensations too, but the same messages.
Exactly. He just talks about Mara, instead of the devil or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he still talks about evil and evil spirits and stuff like that. And but they're both talking about the same thing. They're talking about releasing what you don't need, releasing temptations, releasing what you don't need, like in the world, and just aligning with spirit instead.
Yeah, absolutely. This as always is such an interesting topic, and and I hope that you're learning something by joining this program every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.